Welcome listeners to episode 37 of the Running Guide podcast, where I aim to provide informative content and interviews with elite athletes and health professionals around the world, like in today's episode, where I'm chatting to a runner from Bendigo who's been consistently racing at the pointy end of both track and road over the last few years, following his dominance at cross-country nationals. And with World Cross in March and World Champs and Com Games stacked closely next year, opening up the possibility of more team spots, I'm sure he'll be working towards earning one or more green and gold singlets. Welcome to the Running Guide podcast, Andy Buchanan. How you going,
Thanks,
Andy?
mate. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to chatting running for a bit with you.
Fantastic. That's what it's about, mate. AV relays yesterday, is that right?
Yeah, yep. So I'm a bit tired today. I forgot how much of a big day it is, especially driving down from Bendigo. So all those city slickers in Melbourne, they get in their cars for half an hour and travel out to Jells Park, whereas for us it's 2.5 hours. So it's a big day, but it's very grateful and thankful that that these races are able to kick off again. We kind of missed it all last year through COVID. So it was an awesome day out and so good to be back on the grass.
Yeah. Is that sort of like round one of the cross country series, or?
Yes. So
Okay.
I think there's about 8 races,
Yeah.
8 or 10 races, and they're kind of it probably averages out to about one every month, give or take. There's a few that are two a month, and it's really good. It's like just the depth is crazy, and they've got a really good grading system where there's the Premier Division, then Div 2 and all that kind of stuff, and similar to like the Premier League and all that stuff with relegation and promotion. So you need to finish at the top and you get promoted up a division. So
Yeah.
we're currently in Div 2, so we're pretty motivated to get into Div 1 next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really good fun actually.
So that's the Bendigo Bats, is it?
Yeah, I reckon they're the most famous AV
Yeah.
cross country team going around. I think everyone knows about the Bendigo Bats. So it's quite funny. I remember a few years ago, Brady. I think everyone kind of knows Brady. He was the first person I heard that I can remember that said the Bats, and it's we've got a park here in Bendigo. It's called Roslyn Park, and really nice park. And probably 5 years ago, all these fruit bats kind of invaded the park, and everyone in Bendigo hated it because that smell, they'd be really noisy, and
Yeah.
there's thousands of them. Like, happens a fair bit, I think, and yeah, for some reason Brady just thought, oh yeah, we'll call ourselves the Bendigo Bats, and then it just kind of just got a bit of momentum, and then now everyone knows us as the Bats. So we've kind of embraced that, and it's good fun. Like, running such an individual sport, but we had 6 guys in a team yesterday, all running for each other and all getting around the Bats. So it's that's us, the Bats.
Yeah, I was having a look at it. Like the divs go all the way down to like Div 7 and Div 8, and then they have like over 40s and over 50s. So it's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, we're super lucky in Victoria with Athletics Victoria. They do a tremendous job for the sport, and the opportunities that we get in Victoria, like, it just doesn't happen in a lot of other states. Like in Victoria, I think they were the first state to really get on top of this live stream kind of stuff. And now it's like every race you expect there to be a live stream, and you're like, go back 2 years ago, like that would never have happened kind of thing. So we're really lucky in Victoria to have AV, and it's they provide the awesome races, and then everyone supports that and comes out, and it's like, that's the thing. I'm sure there would have been over 1,000 runners yesterday, all running on the same course. Everyone having a crack, and then there's the men and the women, and there's all the juniors as well. So it's a massive day, and like these AV officials, they do a great job, because it's not an easy event to put on. So it's we're really lucky here in Victoria.
Yeah, for sure. So Prems and Div 2 did 6x6K, as you said. So is 6K one lap, or is that a couple of laps, or?
Nah, yeah. So it's 2 laps.
Okay.
So it's actually a new course this year, because they've actually built a playground in the middle of where we used to run. Right. So it was a bit of a new course, which is good fun. Kind of not really knowing what it's like and all that. So it was 2x3K loops. Wished, I don't know, it's good and bad. You get around the first loop, you're like, oh yeah, I'm feeling all right. and then all of a sudden you notice hills that weren't there on the first lap and all that stuff. So,
yeah,
but it's really good supporting wise, because it was a few kind of squiggly lines and U-turns and that kind of stuff, so you can easily get around and support your team and see how everyone's going. So
yeah. So is that dirt, grass, or both, or?
yeah, nah, it was all grass.
Okay.
Actually quite long grass, especially I ran first, whereas once the fifth and sixth runners were going, it was it was very obvious where the running line was, because so many people had ran on it. So yeah, it was all grass, and then just the odd little bitumen path that you kind of had to take one or two steps over. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was very different being on the grass, and just, I don't know, every so often you'd kind of half roll your ankle just because there's a bit of a pothole or something like that. So it's no, I really enjoyed getting back on the grass and not doing laps and not thinking about splits and all that kind of stuff. So it was really good fun.
Yep. So the slower divs go before you, is that right? And you go later in the day, or is it the other way?
Nah, this year they actually did it slightly different. Normally, all the divisions, men and women, line up on the line, and it starts with Div 1, and then Div 2 are 15 metres behind that, and then Div 3 are another 1,500 metres behind that.
Okay.
Sorry, 15 metres, and then the women, and then the Div, so it's all staggered. So if you look at the start line's actually 100 metres long with hundreds of people on it. So it's pretty impressive. Whereas yesterday they seemed to have, I think there was about 3 or 4 divisions, and then 2 minutes later they started the rest of them.
Right,
So yeah, it's quite different, and it's quite different for me. I normally run first leg, and I'm kind of working hard to catch the guys in front. So they kind of start with a 15 metre head start kind of thing.
Yep.
So that's just creates something a bit different, which is good fun. So.
And how'd the team go overall?
Yeah, well, we went really well actually. So we finished second overall.
Okay.
But AV have this funny thing where it's only the Premier Division teams that get medals. So even though we finished second, we didn't get the second medal because we weren't in Premier Division, even though we ran exactly the same course, had exactly the same amount of people. So I don't know. That's one of their rules, and that's fair enough. But no, we ran really, really well. It's the highest Bendigo's ever finished. And that's St. Stephen's won, and they've got Ben Buckingham and Stewie McSwain in their team. So it's that's
pretty solid, yeah.
It's pretty solid, yeah. And we've got a team full of guys that are from either Bendigo or Echuca, so kind of the Bendigo area. So we're really proud of that. There's obviously a lot more depth in Melbourne, but I think we're batting well above our average, which is good. So we were stoked with the team result.
Any idea what your average was for that 36K amongst you all?
Oh, that's a good question. I know that results are out, but I think there's a few little gremlins in the results because there's some pretty funny times. But I reckon for the 6K legs, I reckon our average time would have been about 19 minutes.
Right, okay.
Between the 6 of us, I reckon.
Yeah. You're guessing 310, 315, yeah?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
So we were pretty handy, and we actually had a really consistent team. I think I ran 17:30. I think our next fastest was about 19:30 or a 19:40, I think, and then we had a fair few guys high 19s or very low 20s. So everyone did really well. So it was that's the thing. It's tricky because you can't just rely on your superstars, because say even if I ran really well, it's still your fifth and sixth runner is nearly just as important as your top runner, because you need that. You need a really good team, and that's the great thing about XCR. It's not just one or two good runners. You need a really good group throughout the whole winter season. So
aggregate score, and all 6 have got to finish.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about how good the team is, not just one or two guys. Really kind of test that depth.
And how far were you behind St. Stephen's?
They're an interesting club. They've got a really strong history. So they've been around for ages, and they kind of battled. And the great thing about the XCR grading system is I think they battled, and they probably got down to Div 3 or Div 4, because if you don't field a team, you just every year you're dropping a division. And they had a resurgence probably 3 or 4 years ago, and then they kind of got some momentum, and then got a lot of guys running for them, and now they're the kind of the team to beat. So I think we finished probably off the top of my head, maybe 2.5 minutes behind him,
Yep. Yep.
which isn't too bad. Like when you like Stewie's he's a freak. So,
Sure.
yeah, I thought we did pretty well.
Did Stewie have the
Yeah.
fastest 6K of the day?
No, he didn't. So it's quite interesting. I think because Stewie ran 17:38, I think. So I ran 17:30.
Yep.
But in the results page, it's got Liam Adams as running 17:01,
Mm.
which I'm not sure on that.
That's a lot
I don't know,
faster.
Liam.
Yeah.
It's a lot faster. But
Yeah.
if anyone was to pull it out, it'd be Liam because
Yeah.
he's a bloody freak. So
Yeah.
I don't know. The timing system. It's very different to a standard race or whatever where everyone starts at the same time because there's all that kind of stuff. So I know there is they had a lot of issues putting the results up last night. So I think they're provisional at the moment.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I'm kind of hanging out to see because there's always a bit of competition as to who gets the fastest time for the day.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if
sure.
Liam's ran that, that's I don't know. That's bloody impressive.
That's
But
unreal. Yeah. Who's he run
yeah,
for?
he runs for Athletics Essendon.
Okay.
So
Yep.
they used to be a premier team, and then
Yep.
they've just struggled with numbers. He's
Yep.
kind of been holding them up. So they're actually in Div 2
Yep. Okay.
with us as
Yep.
well. So I think they finished mid pack.
Yep. So for you to get
Um,
up to into Prem, do you have to wait to the end of the season, or can you actually get up there like halfway through the season if you're racing really well, or how's that work?
Yeah, nah. So you have to wait till the end of the season. So
Yep.
it doesn't matter what you do throughout the season.
Okay. Yep.
And then so to get into Premier, you the top team in Div 2 goes up, and the bottom team from Premier comes down. So
Okay.
just looking at the results from yesterday, Ballarat region are in a bit of strife. They finished. I've got the results up. So St Stephen's, their overall time was 1:50, an hour 51.
Mm.
Ballarat region was 2 hours 17.
Wow.
So they finished 10 minutes behind
Wow.
the second last team, and then our time was 1 hour 53.
Mm.
So Ballarat will need to, but this is a good thing. It doesn't matter how you go in the first.
Yeah.
Like you can have a great result the first round, but there's another 10 rounds to go.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But at the moment, Ballarat could possibly be relegated to Div 2 and then would get put up at the end of the
Yeah.
year. So,
Yep. Well, there'll be some good banter getting thrown around over that. That's for sure.
oh, heaps and heaps, which is great. That's I don't know, I really enjoy it.
Sure.
And it's friendly competition,
Yep.
and it's yeah, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, bit
It's
of
really
fun.
exciting. So
Yeah.
it's I think it's great for athletics.
Yeah, no, it is right. And like you said, AV, no one's got anything like that. And I see a lot of guys who I race against, and they come out of the AV season cross country, and they're just so strong running into like could be Melbourne Marathon or wherever it might be, but just
Yep.
racing
Yep.
all because as you know, it's so hard, and if anything's going to strengthen you up, it's running that cross country. So
Yes.
yeah, to come out of the season straight into back of a marathon build up or something, it always seems to work really well for those guys. So
Yeah, that's what I did last year. I because I'm in Bendigo, I train with a group, but a lot of my running is done by myself, or it was last year. This year I'm lucky. I've got two boys that I coach, and they're actually getting pretty speedy now, so they can kind of keep up for parts of the session. But last year I used 2 years ago. Sorry, I keep forgetting about COVID, but I used the AV XCR races as kind of like hard sessions where I can actually push myself a bit more, and yeah, it did tremendous things for my fitness. So it's a really good kind of good spot to get fit, and you're always going to have a race, no matter like if you're a 30-minute 10K runner or a 40-minute, there's always going to be people around you, and those same people rock up to the same race 2 weeks later. So you're kind of like, oh yeah, they got me last time, I'm keen to get them this time, and all that kind of stuff. So it's good.
Yeah, definitely, and it keeps you accountable because like if we always find something more on race day, and if you were just to go out and do a tempo run or something, it's nowhere near the same as racing. So
yeah, gets the adrenaline going and all that.
Exactly. Let's look at your PBs now. Out of all the guests on the show, I've never seen a 200 meter time there on World Athletics. So interested to have a look at that. And it's also the same day as around your 800 meter PB. So this is 17th of March 2018 over there in Sacramento. So the 200 you've ran a 23:09 and the 800 a 1:54:16. So what's that little journey all about?
Yeah, no, that's not actually me. So I get this a little bit. So that's some other Andrew Buchanan. So that is not me. I've never ever done a race that requires starting from blocks, which is good because I think I'd actually be slower out of them than
Yeah.
than
Okay.
if I just did the normal start. So that's not me. So
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
I don't know who that guy is, but I
Okay.
actually get that a fair bit and say, geez, that's actually people say to me, that's a pretty handy 200-meter time. And
Yeah. That's
I'm
what I was
kind of
thinking. I
going,
thought,
yeah,
I've had
yeah,
some pretty fast runners here, and I'm thinking, geez, you're pretty fast
yeah.
over such a wide range of distances. Like,
Whoever this other Andy Buchanan is, he's
yeah,
done well to do a 200 and then do an 800 on the same day,
yeah. Well,
to back it up. Like
I know.
that's pretty unique. I kind of wonder, is he a 400 runner, or because he's
Yeah.
obviously not a sprinter, because a sprinter wouldn't be able to run 154.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not me. So it's actually funny. I I think I actually have ran 154 or 155, but I
Yeah.
think it was at it definitely wasn't at over in California. It
Mm.
was at a Vic Milers at Melbourne Uni
Okay.
many years ago. So
Yeah.
I'm not actually sure what my 800 PB is, but I often jokingly claim that 200 and say, oh, it's on World Athletics, so it's got to be legit.
Yeah, well, look, more than likely you'll be doing another podcast, and maybe the other bloke's not in the loop like me, and maybe just falsify and bring up a story about it, make it really interesting. Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
will actually. I'll make up something saying that I
definitely.
accidentally got entered in this race, and I thought I'd just have a crack and see how it went,
Yeah, exactly.
and just pulled out a low 23 second 200.
Yeah, exactly. Just say the Oregon track boys, they were looking for someone, and that was a bit of a trial run. And all right,
Yeah.
mate. Well, let's move on to something that I know is yours, is your 1500.
Yes.
So
Yes, that is mine.
26th of
Yep.
Feb 2017, so
Yes.
3:45:40. That's a good run.
Yeah. No, that was actually Athletics Victoria state champs.
Yep.
So I actually won that day, which was a very big surprise to me. I didn't really rate myself as a 1500 runner.
Yep. Who was on the podium with you?
And Adam Pike was second, and I reckon Mark Richards was third, I think. So from memory, Pikey went out. He kicked really hard with 300 to go. I thought he kind of had it, and then I chased him down. Probably with 100 to go, he still had maybe 10 meters on me, and he just seized up. He's a 1500 runner, whereas I was kind of coming with a bit more strength, and just managed to get him on the line. So that was a pretty exciting race. But I'm just a bit. That's probably one of my PBs where I'm kind of like, I ran it in a state championship, so that's not normally the fastest race. So I often think, could have I got maybe a second out or something if I got into just a real fast paced race. But
Yep.
I don't know. I'm happy with 3:45, and
Yep.
it's cool to say that I did it during a state title as well. So
Sure. So that was over 4 years
yeah,
ago. Have you run many 1500 since then, or?
no, I reckon I've probably ran two or three, and
Yep.
that's it.
Yep.
So yeah, that was part of my progression. Like with my coach, Scotty Westcott, who I'm sure we'll probably chat about a bit. He reckons to be a good 10K runner, you need to be a good 1500 runner. So I kind of spent a fair bit of time when I was first started getting coached by him when I was kind of mid-20s, just working on my 1500. Because you need that kick down, and I think it's really good. And then I've gradually just kind of increased my distance from there, and I don't think I'll get back to any 1500s, but in saying that, I didn't think I'd get back to any 3Kers, and I did one this week. So it's never say never.
I won't mention his name, but a bloke who used to be a really good runner. His career came to an end, but yeah, he used to always say the same thing. You can't run a good 400 unless you can run a good 100. You can't run a good 1K unless you can run a good 400. You can't run a good 5 unless you can run a really fast mile. And then he went all the way up to the marathon. He said, you can't even run a good marathon unless you're bloody good over 10K. So I shouldn't have even bothered because I can't run 100 meters. So there's no way I'm getting able to run a marathon. You know what I mean? Like it always. But it does sort of cross over, doesn't it? Because it's all about how well you move and your efficiency and strength. And it all seems. I mean, running is running, isn't it?
Yes. Agree. And it's like I'm currently kind of training for Gold Coast Marathon, and it's really nice knowing that I've got the speed in the legs, and then when I drop back to marathon pace, it's like, oh wow, this feels easy because you're like so used to running so much faster. So I think there's definitely big merit in that as well.
For sure. All right, you're 3,000 down there at Box Hill, 30th of Jan,
Yeah.
2020, 8, 12, 17.
Yeah, so that's I rewrote that last week
Okay.
actually. So there was the
Oh, those were the
Australian
Nationals
champs.
last week, was it? Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. When was that? On Thursday,
yeah.
actually, just a few days ago.
Okay, yeah, and I missed that. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So ran 7:55.
Wow,
So
what?
yeah, it was
So you've gone
it
from
was a bit of
8:12
a
to 7:55.
yes, yeah.
Jeez, that's
That
huge.
8:12. It was probably my when you look through all my
One
PBs,
of your weaker ones, yeah.
that is definitely my weakest,
Yeah, yeah,
by far.
yeah.
And I don't know, 3K is a funny distance. You don't really get to run many 3K races,
Sure.
as an open. So you run them as a junior, and to run a good time, I've always kind of said you need 3 or 4 things to go right. You kind of need to be feeling good, like physically and mentally. You need good conditions, and you need a good pack. And I'd nenever got those 3 for a 3K. And when you're only doing 1 or 2 a year, you don't really have many opportunities. So yeah, I don't know. I was pretty surprised, but Scotty was kind of like, "Oh yeah, let's do a 3K," and I was like, "Oh, I'm building for a marathon. That's a bit strange, but I don't know. I trust him. We'll go with it." And yeah, went down there, and I kind of thought maybe if I run well, I might just sneak under 8 minutes, and then yeah, just kind of got in the race and just felt good, and and kind of crossed the line, and they didn't even have a clock. It was a pretty low key race, and kind of luckily had the watch and looked down and saw 7:56 because I think I stopped it a bit late, and I thought, geez, I wasn't expecting that. So
Yeah, definitely.
it's it was really good, and I probably haven't actually had time to kind of reflect on it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's, I don't know, to say you're a kind of sub 8
Yeah.
3K runner.
Sure.
It's
number
something I'm
7
pretty
looks
proud
good.
of,
Number
actually.
7 looks good. Yeah. So you don't know what you closed
Exactly.
the last 400 in, or have you looked at your splits, or?
I haven't. I don't know.
Was it a fast finish, or you were just consistent?
It
Or?
was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was probably, I reckon my last K was probably my fastest.
Yeah,
I
okay.
reckon I probably ran about 60. I think the first 3 laps, so Geordie Williams paced the first 3, and he was meant to go 63 for the first 3, and I reckon he hit that bang on. And I reckon I closed in about a 61, or maybe a little bit quicker. Which I was pretty surprised about. Like, I've been doing a fair bit of training, and did a few 180K weeks and all that. So yeah, it just goes to show that speed training's overrated, and it's all about having the engine to be able to maintain it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think, how old are you now, Andy?
I'm 30, so I turned 30 just the start of April.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Right. Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
Cool.
Life starts at 30. Yeah, that's what
It
they
depends
say.
how old you are. I'm about to turn 50, so life starts at 50, mate. So it all depends on how old you are. You just keep changing, move the goalposts. Yeah, it's not age, it's capabilities. That's what I say.
No, it's a good saying.
5,000, 13:42.19. You got to be happy with
Yep.
that. Box Hill, 2nd of March,
Yep.
2021.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was once again, it was one of those races that because no one can go overseas.
Yep.
Nick Beddoe and Athletics Australia just kind of got essentially all the best Australian 5K runners together, and it was it was awesome. Like, I jumped into this race, and I knew everyone was going to go fast. And Stewie was actually trying to break the Australian record. I think he might have been 13:15 or something around that. So he ran crazy fast, and I decided I'd go straight to the back. And that's how fast the field was. I think I went through in 66 for the first lap, and I was coming last in a 5K, and it was just a magical night, perfect weather, and I'd ran sub 14 a few times, and that was a massive chunk off, which I was really pleased with, and had a really good battle with a few guys that I battle with down here in Victoria, and it was good fun. I don't know, something about that. We've got 3 PBs at the Box Hill Athletics track, so I'm just hoping it's actually 400 meters around. I'm hoping I haven't measured it wrong or something. So, but no, it is the home of PBs. That's
I was
going to
say, everyone's loving Box Hill. There's special things happening down there, and
there is. No, it's just, I don't know. I think so many people get out to support it. That distance running fraternity in Victoria, love going out there, and we seem to just, like, compared to Lakeside, which is the AV used to use Lakeside all the time, and it's right next to Albert Park Lake, so the wind just comes through. Whereas Box Hill's kind of in the suburbs. it's in a really good spot. So I don't know. I really like they go there, and it's you get 1,000 or 2,000 people there, and there's atmosphere.
Yeah.
Whereas you have that at Lakeside, and because the stadium's so big,
Yeah.
it just gets lost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really, really special.
Yeah, definitely. And let's talk about back there for Zatopek, December 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, the Zatopek, they allow them onto the track, so they, come all the way into lane 3 or lane 4, whatever it might be. You would know more than me, but yeah, that was a good night.
Yeah.
Especially for you running 28, 26, 14. So that's a monster run.
No, that was probably my first big breakthrough, I think. I don't know. I kind of thought a lot of my races before that, they were okay, but they weren't, I don't know, they weren't great. And that was probably my first big race. And I remember often they let the people down onto the track, and I don't know why, but they weren't going to do it that year. Maybe,
right. Okay.
Yeah, not sure. But then I think the public just took it upon himself to kind of come down on the track, and they were getting pretty close at one stage. And I've never heard like such a roar, and it was just mental. And that's the night Stewie broke the Australian record, which like to break an Australian record in Australia, like. I know Lyndon's been doing it a lot lately, but it's like that never used to happen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was a special night. Like I've got vivid memories of running up the home straight, and I was collecting the bell, and I can hear Tim Crosby over the mic being like, "Oh, it's going to be close to an Australian record," and I'm going, "Oh shit, he's going to lap me. I don't want to be that guy in the back of the photo with Stewie's crossing the line with the hands up, and I'm coming around with a lap to go," kind of thing. So I was I put a bit of a surge in with 450 meters to go to make sure I didn't get lapped, and I'm kind of I get the bell lap, and I probably get 20 or 30 meters around the bend, and Stewie finishes, and you hear it over the mic, and it's a new Australian record, and the crowd just went mental, and I kind of got a bit lost, and I'm kind of like, oh shit, I'm still in the race here. I've got to run another 350 meters. So it was awesome. Like just I don't know, and the crowd was just going bonkers. It was such a good night. I'll remember that. A lot of my races that you don't really remember. You remember little sections, but I'll remember that race for a long, long time. So I was pretty happy with the time, but also pretty happy just to experience that, just to be in the race and
definitely
and all that. So I know everyone that was at Box Hill that night when they think about it, a smile will come to their face. Definitely.
What was your PB before that night?
Yeah, I reckon it was 29:20.
Wow.
From Zatopek the year before. Wow. So yeah, it was a
minute.
It was
PB.
a big PB. Yeah.
That's a lap, mate.
So it was, it was a pretty big PB. But as I said, I'd never been content with a race. Whereas that was my first one where I was like, I was kind of like, I'm proud of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was, and that just kind of changed everything for me. Like as a runner, I think it's so much like your mental state of mind kind of thing.
Yep.
And confidence is it's a massive thing in running. And from that I just got so much confidence, and that kind of from there it's like, I can run sub 14 for 5k easy, like kind of stuff. So it was a special night, and I'll remember it for a long time.
Yeah, no, special, awesome. 10k on the road down there at Burnie, October 19, 29:07.
Yep. That was a road race down there in Burnie. Yep. So Tassie, they're famous for their road races. Yep. If you haven't been down there, I highly recommend getting down there and doing one. They do a really good job, and they really look after us. If you want to call us elite runners or whatever you want to call it. Yep. But like they make it super easy. And I remember that race. It was I nearly caught, so Geordie Williams won, and I nearly caught him on the line. I reckon if it was another 10 meters, I might have just got him. So yeah, that was actually a PB at the time, and because it was before Zatopek, so I felt good in that race, and that's where I got that confidence to be like, I can run. I can run a fair bit faster than this on a track when there's no hills and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and I think with track running, you've just kind of got to get over that 25 lap board, and seeing the laps every lap. You just need to not focus on that. So it probably took me 3 or 4 10k races to not get distracted, and you kind of lose the battle when you're kind of counting down the laps in your head. So
all right, half marathon, 62.50. Now,
Yeah.
I'll try and pronounce this. Toshikawa? Either way, I was
Yeah,
in Japan.
Yeah, I actually don't know how to pronounce
All
that
right, let's
either.
go with that.
That sounds pretty good.
All right, yeah. So, yeah,
So that
29th of
was,
December 2019.
yes. So that was the title of the race is Year End Half Marathon.
Yep.
So
Okay.
it was it was an interesting event. Me and my coach have been chatting to Brett Lardner, who runs the Japanese running news Twitter. So it's a pretty common Twitter. He kind of publicizes a lot of results on the Japanese distance running scene, which, as you may know, it's pretty, like, their depth over there is crazy. So I'd met him at Gold Coast Marathon in 2019, and Scott had kind of mentioned to him, oh yeah, Andy's keen to go over and do a half. We were kind of more so thinking one of the bigger ones, and then he was like, oh, there's this one in this little park, normally one in about 63 minutes, and that kind of worked for us. And so yeah, off I went to Japan and went and did this half marathon. I went with a mate from Charlton, which is a very small country town here in Victoria, and headed over to Japan and didn't really know what to expect. We rocked up to the start and no one spoke any English, and we're trying to figure out where we get our bibs, where's the start line, where's the course go. We were the only Australians there. The rest of them were all Japanese runners, and it was just very much it was an experience. Like, and we somehow managed to find where we had to go and somehow managed to communicate with the people there. Oh yeah, my name's Andy, I need to get my bib, kind of thing. Yeah, got in this race, and I had apps like here in Australia, you know who your competition's going to be. You know, oh yeah, this person likes to go out hard, or this person, they'll just sit on me. That's what they'll do, kind of thing. So you kind of know that before the race. But this one, I was just like, I'm not, like, these guys could run 60 minutes or they could run 66 minutes. Like you said, I had no idea. So I kind of went over there full of confidence from Zatopek, because this was only about 20 days later. Yeah, went over there and kind of got into the race and felt good through 5K. We'll tick along pretty well. I was in the lead group, and there was about 10 of us in the lead group, and I was running along, and I felt bad because they were all doing the leading. So I was like, oh, I'll go to the front and do a bit of work just to make sure we work well as a group. So I get to the front, and then it's like they took offense to it. And the guy kind of like come up and, I didn't bump me, but just kind of slightly nudged me and then put in a surge and tried to drop me. And I was like, what is going on here? And I actually think they took offense to me going to the front. And
you're just a tourist, mate.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're like, who's this guy, kind of thing. And then, as like the Japanese, they don't die wondering. So every K we're just losing someone. And it got down to, I think there was 4 of us running along, and I felt amazing. Like, I was just having one of those days where I just felt phenomenal, running along. And yeah, got to, I think my last 5K was actually my fastest split, and yeah, managed to drop everyone with kind of 3K to go. And then I was running along and had all these kind of Japanese people going crazy, just clapping me on, being like, who's this random white guy? Like, what is going on here? This is pretty weird. And then took the win, and yeah, it was pretty funny actually. Had to hang around for a while, and there was a lot of it's a really popular race with a lot of the universities over there, so they have a similar system as the college system. So yeah, there was a lot of university students over there, and they're all coming up asking for my photo and all this kind of stuff. And it was a good experience. I really enjoyed it, and that was good fun. And yeah, I was really stoked with the time. I think it was like a 3-minute PB or something like that, and I felt good and all that kind of stuff. And then kind of spent a bit of time in Japan, then come back to Australia, and then COVID kind of started popping up very shortly after. So yeah, I was very lucky to get that race overseas, and yeah, really thankful for Brett in setting that one up. Yeah, because I would have never known about this race unless he kind of said, oh, you should do this one, and took care of the entries and all that kind of stuff, because the website's just fully in Japanese. Like, you wouldn't be able to enter.
So it's near Tokyo?
Yeah, so it's just out of Tokyo.
Yeah.
So you'd say like it's a suburb of Tokyo.
Okay.
Tokyo's pretty big, so it's still in Tokyo.
Yeah.
So that Takawa or whatever it is it's about a 20-minute train ride out of Tokyo.
Yeah.
So it's it was just around this bit of a park, and you did kind of 4 or 5 loops. Pretty hilly actually.
Yeah.
It was
So end of the
no,
year,
it was
the temperature would have been nice and cool.
yeah, it was really good actually. It was cold because we were used to it. We were getting to summer. It was kind of 30 degrees over here. Went over there and it was cold, but it wasn't too cold.
Yeah.
So it's probably kind of highs of 10 degrees kind of thing. Really still weather. So it was perfect. So yeah, it was awesome actually.
So 2019, looking at your PBs, obviously it was a great year. The 10,000 Zatopek, Burnie 10K on the road, your half marathon we just mentioned there in Japan.
Yep.
You also ran your first 14K 5,000 meters at the Nationals.
Yep.
So obviously you ran quicker then, as we mentioned, but that was a 13:58.
Yes.
And before that, as you mentioned also, before you'd sort of ran a bag full of 14 O's. So
Yes.
awesome to get back
Yep.
under 14, to get under 14 finally. So
Yeah.
just tell us about that and leading into that race and how that race went.
Yeah, so that was at Nationals in Sydney. And I reckon I'd ran 14:03, '04, '05, '06, I think. So there was probably 4 runs there where I was super close, and it's I don't know, sub 14 is one of those big milestones for runners. Yeah, to finally do that at Nationals that year was a really big relief. That was probably the biggest thing. Like I knew I could do it, but it was just I don't know. I just couldn't actually do it on the day. And then I reckon I finished 4th that year at that Nationals. So I think Stewie was out in front, and then Matt Ramsden might have been 2nd, I think, and I reckon Liam Adams might have been 3rd, and I was 4th. So I was kind of probably happier with the time than getting 4th, which upon reflection, I should have been happy with 4th at a national championship. But it was more so just a relief. It was like, oh yes, all right, I can do it kind of thing. And now looking back, you're kind of like, oh yeah, like 13:58.
It's a jog.
What was why was that so hard?
Yeah, but like you said, it's all that it's more of a mental thing than anything. Once you've done it, and then it just leads in. Well, if I can run this quick for this distance, well, why can't I run this quick? And that'll just keep growing.
Just a snowball.
Exactly.
Snowball effect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I was pretty happy to get the monkey off the back there because I thought I was just going to be a 14:02 5K guy, and I was like, oh yeah.
You probably knew deep down you get it eventually, but sometimes it just comes down to having the right race. So, and clearly you got it. Yeah. National cross country titles. Now you won that in 17 and 18.
Yes.
And then finished second in 19.
19.
Behind, the flying Dave McNeil, and
yes.
So that was only 9 seconds off getting a hat trick, mate. So. That would have been pretty impressive. I looked at the last person who'd done a double, and that was Deeks. So it doesn't happen that often.
I'd heard that in the week leading up to the 2019 one. I think I'd seen that Deeks was the last one to do it, but I don't know. I'm under full. I know that there's a lot of really quality athletes that in our winter they often go over to Europe and all that kind of stuff. But in saying that, you can only beat those that rock up on the day. Yeah. So I was really proud to get those 2 national titles. That third one, I don't know. I don't know what it was, if I physically or just mentally just cooked myself.
It was a hot day, wasn't it? It was in the 20s, wasn't it?
But and especially it was up at Sunshine Coast, I think, or Wollongong, I think. So kind of coming up from Bendigo, where it's similar to Canberra, like it's freezing, and you kind of get a 20-degree day, and you're like, "What's this sun?" Yeah. So I don't know. I was just tired halfway through the race, and I don't know if it was physically or mentally, but Dave ran really well that day, and he got the win, which he fully deserved. I was a bit dirty on myself because I'd raced Dave a little bit in the XCR season and had him covered a few times, but he was the better athlete on the day. And I know it would have been awesome to get that 3, and then obviously would have had to wait a while to try and win the 4th with COVID. But it's I always enjoy national cross, and it's something I always get up for and run as best as I can, kind of thing. So
for sure.
Hopefully we get one this year coming.
I was just thinking. I mean, hopefully we get the World Cross up there in Bathurst in March. Fingers crossed. We'll wait and see how this global thing goes, because you don't qualify for Worlds off. You're not national champion and then you qualify for Worlds. You got to turn up to the trials race, which is normally here at Stromlo in Canberra. Yep. And they generally take 3, then the first 3 across the line. So you've been unable to pick up one of those spots.
Yeah, and that's where that's where I suppose it's one thing to win nationals, but it doesn't really mean anything. And that's, I know it's disappointing, because if winning nationals guaranteed you one of those spots,
Yep.
the best runners would come and do it.
Yeah.
Whereas at the moment, it doesn't mean anything. So therefore, the best runners are like, oh, no, I'm going to stay in Europe, or I'm going to stay in Victoria and keep training. So that's one of the disappointing things about nationals. And I'd love it if AA decided, yep, all right, we're going to value national cross. The first person gets an automatic spot. And then you'll get the likes of Brett, Stewie, all that kind of coming along, which would be awesome. Like, you always want to compete against the best competition. But yeah, I don't know. I've never run well at a trials. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I don't know. I haven't done one for a long time, so I kind of see myself as a different athlete compared to probably the last time I did a trials. But it's tough. You kind of get up there and you're like, oh yeah, you're looking around. You're like, oh yeah, he's pretty fast. He's pretty fast. He's pretty fast. And you're like, yeah, there's 3 or 4 spots kind of gone already. But it's, I don't know. Hopefully, I know there's going to be a lot of people wanting to get on that Australian team, because it is in Australia for World Cross. But no, hopefully I can use some of my confidence from my recent PBs and actually convert a really good cross country race. Because I think I've done that a few times here in Victoria, but never on that bigger national stage. So yeah, we'll just wait and see, and hopefully that national cross, or world cross, goes ahead. But it's just we kind of forget here in Victoria. We had a pretty rough trot with COVID, but now everything's back to normal, and you kind of forget what it's like overseas. And there's a lot of countries that are going the worst they've ever gone. So you're kind of like, how can you have a world championship?
I'd like to think so, but I can't see how it's going to happen. I can't see that even we'll be able to go overseas this year, so I can't imagine how they can get here in March.
Yeah.
Still be plenty of cross country. I mean, the nationals, when is that normally on?
Question. I'm pretty sure mid-August.
Okay.
Nationals is normally on. So it was meant to be in Adelaide. So I believe it's in Adelaide this year. It's normally around August, because a lot of the states have their state titles. June or July qualifies you for nationals.
And that'd be on your race calendar?
I think so. It's as I mentioned before, I'm doing Gold Coast Marathon. So that's kind of the main thing, and then it's kind of wait and see. Because as you said in the intro, Gotti and I have spoken a bit about kind of Com Games World Champs. They're so close together, so there's a few extra singlets there. And just, I don't know, I'd love to get overseas to do another marathon this year, but I just don't think that's going to happen. So it's wait and see. I don't know. I don't really want to lock in too much at the moment, because as we know, things can change in a day. So it's really tricky to plan ahead. Yeah, probably if everything keeps going the way it is, I think I'll probably, I'll do Gold Coast and then hopefully get up for National Cross as well.
So Gold Coast, obviously your first marathon. Scotty Westcott, let's talk about him. Obviously, he couldn't have a better coach as far as marathon running goes, but how long have you been on the guidance of Scotty for?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I reckon probably coming up to 7 or 8 years.
Okay. How'd that come about?
From memory, so yeah, it's actually a good story. So as part of my job here in Bendigo, I had to go and get a coaching qualification. So
what is your job?
Went down. So I'm a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a sports program at a school. So I'm the running coach there, which is, I love it. It's bloody awesome.
Yep. Extra Ks. You put the Strava on that.
Yep. Extra Ks. They're my doubles on a Tuesday and Thursday morning, which works well. So I was heading down to Athletics Victoria down at Lakeside to do I think it was the level 2 running one, and you kind of had to do a few different stages, but get down there and Tim Crosby was running it, and Scott at the time was working for Athletics New South Wales, so he was actually running the level 2 course in New South Wales, and I think Tim must have invited him down and said, "Oh, why don't you come down and see what we do, and we can kind of cross-reference and just see what we're doing, see what the other person's doing, and make each course better." So Scotty was down there, and I'd heard of Scotty, but I'd never met him before. Obviously heard that he kind of got 4th at the Com Games there in Melbourne at the marathon, and I'd seen some of his results, but I didn't really know him at all. And I kind of get there, and as part of this course, there was a lot of what would you call them, personal trainers, I'd say, who were just there to add to their Instagram bio that they're a running coach.
Sure. Yep.
So they weren't really runners. Like we were talking about fartleks, and they'd never heard of that word before. So it was a bit of a long day, and I didn't really learn too much, but I hung around to chat to Tim afterwards, and Scott was still there, and Tim said, "Oh, why don't you give Scott a lift back to the airport?" Because Bendigo is kind of north of Melbourne, so that kind of made sense. And I thought, oh yeah, that's fine. And here I was just a country boy kind of driving in the city, so I was already a little bit like, oh geez, there's a lot of cars around kind of thing, and then having to drive. Yeah, Scotty, I was a bit nervous, but yeah, we kind of got chatting on the way out there, and I told him what I was doing, and I wasn't running that much at the moment. I didn't have a coach. No one had ever really. I hadn't really had much of a distance coach before, and he just kind of said, "Oh, I think you've got a fair bit of talent. I think you should pull your finger out and have a crack," kind of thing. And it's about 2-hour drive from the airport back up to Bendigo, and the whole way I was just thinking about it and just decided, oh yeah, I'm going to have a crack at this running. And luckily one of my mates was coached by Scotty, so I sent him a message, and he said, "Oh yeah, Scotty was chatting about you on the long run this morning," and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, gave him a call and just said, "Oh, do you want to coach me?" And then, yeah, the kind of rest is history. So, yeah, a bit of an unconventional meeting, but I don't know. I think it all happened for a reason, and I don't know. I credit all of my running success to Scotty, and we're really close mates, and I probably only ever met him 15 times, and probably in those first 5 years, probably only met him or saw him once a year. But yeah, we're just really close, and we get along really well. And I don't know. I think the most important thing for a coach-athlete relationship is trust, and I fully trust him. And if he says, "Oh, I think you're in good 3K shape, let's do a 3K," I just go, "Yep, sounds good." Yeah, I kind of run 7:55. So I don't know. He knows his stuff. It just fills me with confidence that like building towards the marathon and seeing some of his results that he's been there before, and we'll do workouts, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember doing this workout in this year. I ran this time, or I finished just behind Marty, and Marty went on to run this time, and it kind of means you're in this kind of shape," or something like that. And just that confidence. It helps me so much, and all that. So it's a bit of a different meeting.
Oh, it's working,
all
obviously.
correspondence. Yeah, it is.
Is he up on the Goldie?
That's the thing. No, so he's in Newcastle.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's been in Newcastle for a long time now. So everyone in Newcastle kind of knows him as he's the running guy. And obviously he had a lot of publicity in 2016 when he went to Rio on debut for the marathon when he was 43.
43.
I think so.
Or
I think he was that, or it might have been 40 or 41. I don't know. So yeah, pretty lucky to have him in my corner.
So he just does full-time coaching, or he does something else?
Nah, so he's a teacher.
Okay.
So he used to work for Athletics New South Wales. He used to be a teacher back in the day. Then he worked for Athletics New South Wales, and now he's back teaching.
Okay.
So he works full-time. He's got 3 kids, and he coaches. There's probably 25 athletes in Newcastle that he coaches. So they've got a really good squad up there, really tight-knit group that I actually kind of feel part of, which is awesome. They all kind of wish me good luck in any races, and share the results around. And he does a tremendous job for running. He's one of those people that he definitely gives back to the sport and leaves the sport in a better place. So really lucky to have him, and all the guys in Newcastle will echo the same thoughts as well.
All right, Gold Coast Marathon, it's going to be a little bit different this year without the international guys, without the Kenyans and the Japanese that generally love turning up for that one.
Yeah.
Slightly earlier start. What's the plan? I mean, your first one, are you just going to get out there and see how it goes? Are you chasing a time or?
Yeah, so I suppose I'm really happy with the early start. Being from kind of Victoria, we're not used to the warm weather, so
Is it 6 or 6:30? I keep hearing 2 different times.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I actually haven't really looked into it. I just know it's not 8:20 like it used to be. So my parents have done the marathon numerous times up there, and I've often been up there watching them, and they kind of normally run around 3 hours 30 thereabouts. So then it's not like they're out there for 4 hours or 5 hours or anything like that. And I often know just even watching them, I get hot on the side of the road.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine running in that. It's and there's no shade either. So yeah, really thankful that they've made that switch
Yeah.
with the half and the 10K. So
Yep.
that's good. But yeah, for me, it's just about, I suppose, dipping the toe in the water a bit, just having a go, see what happens. I'm not expecting a really fast time, but at the same time, I don't want to go out there and just jog it.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
But
So you're not
I'm
going to
kind of
play it
hoping to
safe. You're
get.
going to go out there and have a go. And yeah.
I'll have a go, but it's I want to race it, and I kind of compare it to a half marathon. My first few half marathons, I got to 16K. The race was in control of me. I wasn't in control of the race. I was done. I was just in survival mode, and I was running 65, 66, battling through. Whereas when I went to Japan, I got to 16K, and I was like, I'm feeling good. If someone made a surge now, I'd go with them.
Yeah.
Like kind of thing. I was in control of the race. So I want that to happen for the first one, but I know it's a different beast. It's so different. But I really want to get to 30K and feel as in control as I can. And I know it's a really tricky thing, but it's going to really test my patience. And just making sure that, because there's going to be, I think, a really good field of Australians, which I think is, it's awesome for distance running in Australia. And just like seeing what like Stewie's done on the track, like, yes, you can run fast in Australia. I think that's going to happen in the marathon. Yeah, so it's going to be hard to kind of watch some people go up the road and go, oh, geez, should I be going with them? But I don't know. I really just want to be patient and feel as good as I can at 30K, and then try and, I suppose, be in control. But I know that it's not as easy as that. So it's, I don't know. I'm not putting the time on it.
Sure.
I just want to kind of go out there and get a good one on the board. And you just see so many people get to 30K or 35K and blow up. It's like it's like the marathon's defeated them. And then they try and run another one, and the same thing happens. And then it's like their brain just keeps expecting it to happen, and it happens every single time. So I don't want to get into that rut kind of thing. I'd rather run 2 minutes slower and finish feeling good than running 2 minutes faster and be a bit on a death march for that last 10K. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. Good knowing that there's not, like, obviously Tokyo's well and truly out of the picture. So it's not like, oh, I need to go up there and run 2:13 or something like that. It's kind of, let's just go up there, learn from it, get some experience, and then hopefully hit another one at some stage later on in the year when you've got some experience under your belt, and you can have a bit more of a crack.
Yeah.
So,
what about with nutrition? I mean, you haven't had to really worry about that, but obviously the marathon, you have to be taking something in. Is that something you've been playing around with, or have a good idea what you're going to do?
Yeah, a little bit, not a lot. So I actually, on this morning's run, I had a gel and a bottle of Morton, which is kind of, because I actually, with my Sunday long runs, I just wake up in the morning, I'd go, and I don't have anything to eat. I don't really, if it's a hot day, we'll stop and have a quick drink of water, but it's, I never have anything on my runs. So that's definitely an area I need to keep working on. Today I had a gel, and as I said, a drink mix of Morton, which seemed to sit fine, and kind of figured out that the bottle I was using isn't really that great for running and sipping on. So I'll need to experiment with that. But that's where that first one, I think you just learn. I'll learn so much from it. So it's just lower those expectations, learn a lot. And if I do learn a lot, that's a success, I think. So sorry, I'm not putting any numbers out there just yet.
No, there's no need, mate.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this Dragon Mile, mate, in Bendigo. It sounds like a great little, country town event. 1600 down the streets. It looks like you've won that 3 times. Is that right?
Yeah, that's some impressive research. I like that.
Yeah. Is that still running these days? Or?
Well, yes and no. So here in Bendigo, Easter time is massive. So we're a gold rush town, and there was a lot of Chinese that came out to Bendigo to mine for gold. So we've got a really rich Chinese kind of heritage, and part of that, we've got these dragons. So they're I think we've got the longest and the second longest dragons in the Southern Hemisphere. And I'm talking they're 120 meters long.
We're talking monuments in a park or something? Is that what you're talking about? Or
Nah,
or do you mean the ones that you actually hold in parades?
Yeah, hold in parades.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
there's so people it's like imagine like a big bit of cloth kind of thing.
I've seen them before, yeah, and I've seen them on Chinese New Year and all that sort of stuff, yeah.
Anyone out there, just look up Sun Lung Bendigo or something like that, and you'll see what we're talking about. But they're bloody impressive. And so we have a really big Easter parade in Bendigo. It happens every Easter. Goes down the main streets of Bendigo. There's floats, there's dragons, it's just massive. There's nothing like it. And as part of that, there's this Dragon Mile, which runs before the parade starts. So I actually reckon it would be probably the most watched athletic event in Australia every year in terms of a live crowd, because we normally get, I think there's normally about 40,000 to 50,000 people that go out and watch along the way. Yeah. So you're running along a street and it's 10 people deep for the whole way. There's nothing like it. Anyone out there in Victoria or anywhere nearby, pencil in the Dragon Mile at Easter time, come to Bendigo, because it's super unique.
It's a dead straight line? Dead straight?
Nah, so the parade has changed. The course of the parade has changed a little bit because it's gotten so big, so therefore the course has changed. So you run out about 400 meters, probably 500, sorry, and then you turn right and you go up a hill for about another 400. You do a U-turn, come down the hill, and then back. So it's an out and back, but you actually go up a hill, and it's a pretty tough little hill actually. So it's very different to a mile on a track, and there's not many road races around like this, like short road races that still happen. So unfortunately this year the parade didn't happen because they kind of called that really early when COVID was still in full force. So unfortunately this year it was at the track, the Dragon Mile, and it wasn't as big. It was more so based around the primary school kids and all that kind of stuff. So it's but it'll be back next year. And it's such a unique race, and I just love doing it because you run along these streets and there's just thousands and thousands of people, and you never get that buzz anywhere in athletics. So it's a pretty unique little race, and there's always the odd person that comes up from Melbourne, and it's like, you're coming into my turf kind of thing, and it's good fun. I really like it. And, hopefully even as I'm doing marathons, I can still kind of get up for that race, because I really enjoy it. But it's anyone that wants a different experience, come along and do the Dragon Mile in Bendigo.
And it's all in. They don't separate like the fast guys and the slow guys, or how do they do it?
Nah, so it's all in. But it's a funny one. It's not really that well supported here in Bendigo, because I think people get a bit scared of the crowds. So often there's only, say, 30 people in the open race. It's quite small. And it's kind of only for there's not many fun runners that do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's just a mile race. They don't have a little 500-meter jog for kids or anything like that. It's just this.
Oh no, so they actually have there's a category for year 7 and 8, and 9 and 10, and then there's also a primary school mini mile. So there is a mini mile that I think's a K and all that. So that's actually where most of the competitors come from.
You can't call a mile a K. How do they get away with that?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm not sure. Mini mile. Yeah. But apparently this year at the track, they only actually did 1,600, not 1,609. I'm not sure what happened there. One of my favourite races every year.
Yeah, no, definitely sounds fantastic. And like I said, it's good that it's that stuff's still around in some of these towns, because it's all serious on a track or on a road run, but out there you still get to run hard. But with that atmosphere, with that crowd and being part of the community, I mean, those weeks are special for sure. Yep.
Yeah, and it's so different to a mile on a track, because you've got to think about the hill, and you've got to make sure you don't cook it up the hill, and it actually requires a bit more thinking, a bit more tactics. So that's what I really enjoy.
A bit of pocket money to take home with that, or?
Oh, so there's I think it's $300. But the thing is, Bendigo Bank are the sponsor, and they
open up an account,
create an account, and I have the same argument with the same person at my local branch every year, when it's like, yeah, here's the $300. If like they're like, oh, we're gonna have to open an account. I said, oh, you can spend the half hour doing that. I'm just gonna cancel it. We'll close it straight away.
Yeah.
So it's up to you. And then they always go to the manager. Oh, okay, yeah, just this once, we'll write you a check. I'm like, oh, yeah, you did that last year as well, and the year before, but
Yeah.
that's right. Always seem to win that argument, so it's not too bad.
Yeah. Mate, let's talk about something leading into the World Half Marathon Championships that unfortunately you couldn't get to, but you qualified for. But the 2019 Oceania Champs up there in Townsville, you're in the 5,000 metres there picking up the bronze behind those two Kiwis running a 14:17. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. I wasn't expecting to be named in that team. Yeah, it was a bit funny running a 5K. It was I can't remember what time of the year it was, but I think it was winter back here in Victoria, and it was kind of like trying to get up for a 5K. It wasn't the easiest thing, but I thought, oh, it's a great experience, good opportunity. So I'll go up and have a crack and see what happens. So definitely wasn't my best run, but at the time it was okay. But I wasn't quite ready for a 5K. Just kind of in the middle of winter. But yeah, that was although I don't know, it's an Australian singlet, but do I classify it as an Australian singlet? Not really. But it was just a good experience to be racing, I suppose, internationally. We had two really good Kiwis that finished first and second, and I was third. So it was good fun, and it was a good experience. So it was really nice to be, I don't know, I think a few people here in Bendigo are like, oh yeah, congratulations, an Australian team, that's awesome. And I'm like, oh, it's just Oceania's. I don't know. I wasn't talking it up too much, but yeah, it was just a good experience. Like it was a nice little stepping stone, I suppose. And that's what I see this, the World Half that never happened. I think that would have been a nice stepping stone to a legitimate Australian singlet. That's how I kind of see it anyway. So, but yeah, I just remember coming from the cold down here in winter and getting up to Townsville and going, oh, geez, it's bloody hot up here.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was good fun.
Yeah, talking about the what you consider a real Aussie singlet. I remember when I was speaking to Hicksy, he was talking about over there in New Zealand, they have the different type of singlet you get. I can't remember, was it a silver fern singlet was when you qualify for majors and that, and then you got the other singlets that they don't really classify as, you know, a major, like cross country championships. I don't think you actually, like cross worlds, you actually don't get that silver fern and stuff like that. So they have that sort of grading singlet over there. So I guess we don't do that here, but I guess for you personally, you didn't really consider it a legit Aussie team, but you did. Let's talk about worlds that didn't go ahead. So that was in Poland, wasn't it? The race actually went, but obviously you guys couldn't go for obvious reasons. But so you qualified for that. That was pretty good. So who else qualified for the team? It was quite a strong team, wasn't it?
It was. I know that pretty sure Brett and Jack both qualified. And they were going to do it because it was a few weeks before London Marathon was going to go ahead, I think. And I think they were going to go over there and do that. I know Riley Cox qualified and I know James Coleman as well. So you kind of had to be running sub 64 to kind of get on the team, which was pretty good because often it's not the most desired team. Like a few of those top guys are like, oh, nah, I'd rather do a major marathon and earn X amount of money rather than kind of go over and do that. So I was really excited. I was planning on going over to London with MTC and staying there for a little bit and then going to Poland, going back to London and then actually going to America to do Peyton Jordan 10K.
Yep.
So I was like, this is going to be the best time ever. This is exactly what I needed. This was the stepping stone that I was ready for. This is like a good opportunity to kind of prove myself and to get some really big PBs. And then, then kind of COVID hit. And then I had, AA kind of called me and said, oh, look, we're not going to send a team. And I was completely in agreement with that. I had a few friends who were overseas that really desperately needed to get home for health reasons and they couldn't get home. And I was like, I don't want to be taking up these seats. Like, it's just running. Like, for me, that's not, I don't know. I fully agreed with that decision. But then I was quite surprised to see that the race actually went ahead and there was actually a lot of countries that got there. And it happened in Poland and I don't know how, but so that kind of went ahead. So that was a little bit bittersweet kind of watching that and just kind of thinking, we should have been there and all that. That's all right. I'm sure there'll be more opportunities, but it's, it was a bit of a downer, but can't get too caught up on it.
Yep. I'm sure it's ahead of you, mate. So yeah, keep doing what you're
Yeah,
doing.
hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now you do
Yeah.
a bit of coaching with Run to PB. Tell us about that. Who actually started that up, or who actually owns Run to PB? I know there's a few
Yeah. So
runners that coach for them, but
it's kind of co-owned between Brady Trelfall, Zach and Newman, and Matt Davey.
okay.
So they were the original brains trust before it, and credit to them, they kind of jumped on before a lot of other companies probably went into online coaching. So I've been with them for maybe 18 months now, I reckon. So a while, and it's worked really, really well. So I've actually been able to drop back to 0.8, so I don't work full time. So 0.8, and that just allows me essentially a bit more training time, which is good.
Yeah.
And through the extra money I make kind of through running, I can justify going, or through the coaching, I can justify going 0.8. So it's I like it in terms of that, but I really
point
love,
eight. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I'm assuming that means 4 days or
Yes.
right.
So 4 days. Sorry.
So each day is worth
one
0.2 or something.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. 0.2. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. So 1 is full time. So
Yep.
that's a full time
Got you.
role, and then 0.8, then 0.6.
Why do they use that terminology? I've never heard that.
That's a great question.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Fair enough.
I don't know. That's just
teachers
must
lingo.
Just be teaching,
Yeah.
teaching lingo. So all the teachers out there be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. 0.8. Yep.
Yeah.
That only means you have this amount of classes.
Yeah.
And then, but
Most people just say I
everyone
work a 4-day week, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I kind of have. Now I have 2 half days, so it's not
Okay.
really. I still work 5 days, but
Gotcha.
so it's all a bit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but
Okay, so
yeah,
that's good. So Fridays, it allows you to have that day off, because you're getting the income from the coaching. Is that right? Or
yes,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
so you structure your training week around that Friday.
Yep.
Yep.
Spot on. So it's good, and I love coaching. It's so good to kind of it really I suppose brings me back to ground a little bit, and gives me, when I think about running, it's not just all about my running, and it's kind of a lot about these guys and girls I'm coaching, and I really enjoy that, and the highs and lows that come with that, and also just passing on that experience that I've kind of learnt to them. So I love it, and the Run to PB, credit to the guys and the community they've set up there. Like, they are awesome. Like, I've got some guys that I coach in Bendigo, and they'll talk about some other guys I coach that are in Melbourne or something, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I saw that run like in Melbourne. They absolutely smoked it. It's kind of, I don't know, it's really special. And although it is all online, you really feel like you create a bond with all these people you coach. Yeah, I really like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then maybe you rock up to a race and you get to see the faces and you go, I'm so and so.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I haven't had that yet.
Okay.
Actually, because of COVID. I haven't had it, but I know that I've got probably six guys running at Gold Coast.
Goldie, yeah.
Maybe a few more, and it's gonna be interesting to see them in real life. What you look like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have they got a kit to wear? You guys got a kit that you're racing, or?
I think Zaka has organised a bit of a Run to PB kit. So that will help me a fair bit. Yeah, it's gonna be different. Just being like, oh wow, you look very different to your Strava profile.
Yeah, it's funny like that, isn't it? Yeah.
But I think I'll organise to have a beer with everyone, I think, after the race. So that should be good fun, just to debrief and all that kind of stuff, and enjoy that. So it'll be very exciting.
Yeah, no, it's going to be huge, Goldie, this year for sure. And marathon, Melbourne Marathon, I should say, is going to be huge. I think you got to look at all the pluses that we get with the situation we're in, that we normally get the runners, like you said, who are overseas, racing here, and get an Aussie possibly win Gold Coast and Melbourne, so more than likely that'll happen.
Hopefully it's not a New Zealander that wins both of them.
Yeah,
hopefully.
True. Yeah, for sure. So what's the situation with your family life? Are you married? You got kids, or what's going on there, or single, or?
Just single.
Okay.
Here in Bendigo. So it's, I don't know, I'm pretty happy just cruising along. Running takes up a fair chunk of my life, running and work, so I'm pretty happy with that. Just happy kind of cruising along, and still, I know both my parents are runners. They still live in Bendigo, so this is kind of like my I was born in Colac, but luckily we moved out of Colac when I was 5 and moved up to Bendigo, and I just love it up here. It's just perfect for running, and really kind of chilled out, which I like, and I like being been around the family, been pretty close to everyone and all that stuff. So it's it's quite good.
So family, like your brothers and sisters?
Yeah, two sisters. So
And they're still there,
they're both
are
older than me. One of them is. So one
Okay.
of them's down in Melbourne, whereas the other one's here in Bendigo. So yeah, we're a pretty tight knit family, which is good. Yeah, some of them. One of my sisters run. The other one, yeah, I don't think she'll ever become a runner.
Yep.
But no, yeah, it's good.
AFL, mate, who do you go for?
I'm a Geelong supporter. Geelong
Jeez.
Cats.
You
So
won't
I'm
like
a
me,
little
mate.
bit.
You won't like me.
You're not a Sydney supporter, are you?
That's where I grew up, mate. Come on.
Now, surely you've got to agree that kick was more than it was a mark.
I know,
It was
but
more than 10 meters.
I know, mate. But wait till next week, and we'll be saying the same about something else. Look. I actually haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens. I mean,
Yes, it does.
it happens to
Geelong
us, and like Johnny will just say, well, at the end of the day, we shouldn't have let it get that close. We should have won the game before that
Yes.
incident. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Hayward or that, where basically the umpire called call on, and he was setting up for a kick, and he couldn't hear it. No one yelled out, "Let's play on," and someone just comes in and just slammed him.
Yep.
He had no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
it is, but
Yep.
at the end of the day, it
Yeah.
wasn't the Sydney players' fault, it wasn't the Geelong players' fault, it's the ref's call, and you just got to move on with
Yes.
it. But you
Yes,
don't want that to
exactly.
happen in the GF, do you? So at the end of the day,
Yes, that is true. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Geelong, they couldn't kick a goal in the last quarter. So as you said, it shouldn't have come down to that. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm not a. I don't know. I enjoy watching footy, but I wouldn't say that them losing last night has ruined my weekend. So it's something good just to watch, but I don't know. I'm not a really, really passionate supporter.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I won't cry, but I mean, Swanee's lost the last two games. I didn't want to lose 3 in a row, especially at home. So I'm glad we got up.
Yeah.
I didn't get a great sleep because I couldn't go to bed with the way that game was going. It was just so close to Hawaii. But anyway, no, just out of interest, I thought being a Victorian boy, you'd probably follow the AFL. Did you ever kick around as a kid, or?
Yeah, I played footy till I was, I think about, might have been 13.
Yeah.
And then I just, I don't know, I was a pretty small kid growing up, so I was on the wing, so it's just like my coach's instructions: if you ever get the ball, just run, just run with the ball, just take off and run. And I was pretty bad. I don't think I got many possessions, and I think I was quite happy wherever the ball was. I wasn't, which I don't know. And I think by 13, I was just sick of rocking up to training and just not, I don't know, just no one there was training hard. I don't know. I didn't like it. And then I think that's why I was drawn to running. Just purely you put in the work. It's just you. I think I liked that.
I think that's why most of us do it.
Exactly. I think a lot of runners will be like, oh, yeah, that sounds like me, actually. And I like being in control and dictating kind of what I do when I do and all that kind of stuff. So it's, I never had a promising AFL career, and I was quite happy to stop doing that when I was 13, and haven't really done it since.
Yeah, well, if you did, you probably would have been on your 12th surgery by now. So
yes, that is very true. But I was actually on a Australian cross country junior team with Mark Blicavs.
Yeah.
So he plays for Geelong, and he's probably making a lot more money than I am at the moment, and has a nice house down at the Surf Coast. So he's living the dream, and he's done very well for himself. So he was quite a good runner as a kid.
Yeah, it's such a harsh sport, and a lot of people we never hear about because they just get that injury, or they just can't get their body strong enough. You watch them play, it's just unbelievable, and they're so vulnerable to injury. You can see why they're doing knees every week. So I mean, I think well, we haven't spoken about that actually. I'll just quickly touch on that. Have you had any sort of major hiccups with injuries over the years, or?
Not really. The only injury I've had since being with Scotty is I actually had hamstring tendinopathy last year. So it was actually good timing because I actually did a race here in Bendigo, and there's this really big cycling event called the Bendigo International Marathon, and it's another thing unique to Bendigo where it's a really big cycling race, and it's in a velodrome.
Yeah, no, I've been out to that a couple of times. I lived in Melbourne for a couple of years, and I actually was a cyclist. And we used to head out there to watch that, and it's been a while. What are the two guys from there that won the gold in the Madison? They were from Bendigo, and they used to come along and do it.
Yep.
I
Oh,
think of the names while you're
yeah.
talking. McGrory. Scott
Yeah, I can't
McGrory.
remember. Yes, that's one of them. Yep.
McGrory
Yep.
and
Yeah.
Aiken.
Yeah.
Aiken. Nah.
Yeah. Atkins.
Yeah.
Akins. I think.
Aiken or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I do the running on the infield when that's on.
Yeah. Okay.
And I do that every year, and it's part of the VAL, which is what stall is. So it's handicapped. So I kind of hate handicapped racing, and I don't agree with pro running. But it's kind of good fun because you'd know what the crowds are like.
Yeah.
It's bloody like it's packed
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like there's actually last year, 2019, sorry, I did a 800 and 800 heat, 800 final, and then ran a mile the next day.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I did the eights, I was like, oh geez, like my hamstring doesn't feel great, and then did the mile, and a few people that have watched me run, they're like, "Oh, are you injured? You just looked like you were running a bit funny," and I just wasn't striding out. And then, sure enough, kind of 2 weeks later, hamstring was no good, and got the scans, and yeah, so I had hamstring tendinopathy in my right hamstring, and so that was just after. So World Half was meant to happen, I think, about a month after the Madison. So I was kind of like thankful of COVID because it would have been quite tough mentally knowing I missed something through injury. Whereas because I was injured, I was like, oh, this is good. Because I would have struggled if everyone was out there running fast times and I couldn't run like that. So COVID came at the perfect time, and I actually didn't miss a single event. So I kind of spent maybe 3 or 4 months getting that right. Didn't really miss much running. It was I probably had there might have been 1 week of no running, and then it was just a gradual build up, and that's Scotty helped me so much through that, and it was just very gentle, and because we weren't pressured in time, there was there's this race in 2 months or 3 months, and it was just I was super lucky with that timing. You couldn't pick a better time in the last 50 years to have an injury. It was really good. Well, as good as it could be. So that's my only injury I've ever had. I've had a tiny little bit of plantar fasciitis, but that kind of disappeared. Didn't really stop me running. So that's the only injuries, and I put that down to Scotty, and he's just smart coaching. And then also I do a lot of strength and conditioning. So I do that 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm pretty diligent with that as well. And I think that's I don't know, I'm so amazed that more runners don't do it. I just see it as you have time to go for an easy Arvo double, but you don't have time to go to the gym. What's got to be more beneficial for you?
Always the one that people will drop before an easy run. Not sure why. And then when you get injured, you know why. You said, well, I should have been doing that. And then you get back to running again, and you still don't go back and do it. Are you doing mainly mobility type work and body weight stuff, or are you lifting heavy stuff?
Yeah, I do a fair bit of Olympic lifting. So kind of squats and deadlifts, sure. Power cleans, Bulgarian split squats, all that. So that's what my job is at school. Part of the program I'm in, that's what we kind of do with the kids. So I don't know, I'm a massive believer, and I see so many full-time runners that don't make it to the gym. I'm like, this is your job. How do you not? I don't know, but that's fine. I see it as an added advantage for me. So they can keep being lazy if they want. That's fine with me.
Well, I mean, I'm even worse because I actually have to walk through a gym that I built 5 or 6 times a day, right? And I still walk past it and don't do it. So I'm hopeless as I've got the Smith Ray, I've got it all, but I'll still walk past it. I mean, I go through these periods where I'll do it, but then I just stop doing it. And then I think, what it's like when you got to go back and start all over again. You got to go through all those DOMs and saunas, and it's like, I don't really want to have to go through that again. I think once you start, you just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I love it because it's so different to running, in running training.
Yeah. Do you find after you've done a session that you actually feel really good? Like there's some sort of hormonal response where you actually feel up and good?
Yep.
It's weird isn't it?
No, and I feel better, and I do a lot of my gym sessions in the morning. So kind of at 6 o'clock before work. We have a gym at school, so I use that, and it's obviously convenient, but I feel good, and I feel like my body actually feels better after a gym session. I love getting in there, and you pump the music, and you kind of I know you do an exercise, then you sit down for a minute. Like
Yeah.
you don't do that in running.
Yeah.
Like I just love that it's so different, and you're not looking at
Yeah.
your watch all the time, going, oh, I've got 30 seconds left to be going again.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's just so relaxed, and
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I love it. But I'm lucky. It's at my workplace. I can
Yeah,
go there whenever I
definitely.
want. Like a lot of people don't have that,
Yeah.
and there's no one ever there,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
don't have to line up.
Yeah.
So I know I've got it luckier than others, but yeah, it's something I'm really big on, and I think it's played a massive part in why I've been injury free,
Yeah.
and then also why I kind of probably perform a bit better over cross country compared to say track or road.
Yeah.
I think just that added strength that I've got. So
Yep.
yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah,
It's
when
good.
I get in a conversation with people, most people's response is the fact that they're worried that it's going to make them sore for the actual key session they want to do the next day, or they've got a little niggle, and this is an excuse I've used many times. They've got a little niggle through the ankle or the foot, and when I try to do something in the gym, it seems to aggravate it. So I think, oh, I won't do the gym. So that's all. But it's one of those things that you got to sort of get over the top of and get through that stage, and then it comes good. But it's always making that decision to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that first week's always the hardest.
Yeah.
And it's about getting that routine and just being smart about it. Like obviously you don't want to start it the week before a big race or something, but if you've just raced, like that's when you start the gym. And I always do it. I do my gym sessions on a Monday and Wednesday. And that seems to work well with me because I do it Monday morning, and then by the time I come around to do a session on a Tuesday afternoon, I'm fully recovered. And then I do my other running session on a Friday, so it's kind of got plenty of time there. So, but I've been really consistent with it, so I don't really get those DOMs at all anymore. And it's I don't know, it's kind of I'm lucky. I've always been really consistent with it. So but I can understand where people come from, but I don't know.
They still should be doing it. I mean, we're just hopeless.
Yes.
We're just lazy. We're making excuses. But I don't think there's anyone around that's saying that they shouldn't do it. It's just getting in and getting it done. I think once you start, like I said, you just got to keep doing it, so you don't have to keep going through that rebuilding phase all the time. And like you said, you obviously adjust what you do. You're not going to start lifting heavy the week of a marathon, but it's one of those things. It's that periodization, just like you do with your training. There's certain times when you're doing lighter, heavier reps or lifting heavy or whatever it might be. But definitely, mate, for sure.
Yeah, no, just need to be smart about it.
Yeah, no, that's good, mate. And obviously with just starting your marathon career, let's call it that, then it's going to be even more important for you. So
and just that's the thing. Everyone says it's all about marathon's all about getting to the start line fit and healthy. And I think it's going to play a massive role in that. And I understand what people say when they say that, but I like a lot of people say, oh yeah, it's like injuries, if you're training hard enough, it's okay to be injured once a year or something like that. And it's kind of like, that's showing you're testing your body. And I just think that's a bit of, I know, load of crap. And injuries, they don't have to be a part of the sport. Whereas I think some people just talk themselves into thinking they should be part of the sport, which I don't really agree with. And I think people, I don't know. I just know that it really helps with me, that strength and conditioning stuff. So.
Definitely, mate. No, it's good to hear that you're doing it. I'd be more nervous if you said, nah, it's a load of crap. I don't believe in that. So it's good that you're saying that, mate. Look, that's a wrap. Appreciate so much giving you time today.
No, thank you.
All the best with picking
always
up.
Enjoy chatting running. And...
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. All the best with picking up a plane ticket, mate, to one of those majors next year. It's going to be exciting. Like I said, there's maybe a couple more spots available, so I'm sure you got your eyes in World Cross and Comms, and I mean the World Champs over there in Oregon. They built that new stadium over there. It's just going to be insane, mate.
Yeah, that stadium it's next level.
Yeah.
To have a World Champs in Oregon would just be you couldn't pick a more perfect spot. For athletics.
Exactly.
It's really exciting, and that's it's definitely in the back of my mind, and it's I don't know, when it's dark and I need to head out for a run at 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever it's it definitely gets me out of bed, just that thought. I think it's really important to have those goals, so it's I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully the world can kind of I don't know, sort their shit out a little bit.
Yeah, I know. We just keep thinking should be right by then, but you just keep thinking, I just don't know. I mean, even in a year's time, what is it? It's August, or I think around about August, September next year. Maybe Com Games is, but basically around July to September next year, Coms and Birmingham and the World Champs over there. But you think it's over a year away, but then you think, well, look what's happened in the last year. So do what everyone does, keep training, keep believing, and just keep hoping things are going to go ahead. But if it doesn't, there's always another race to go to, and we'll wait and see.
Yeah. No, that's all I can do.
Exactly,
so,
mate. Well, you sounds like you're doing everything right, mate. I'll just whack a link over to some of your socials.
Yeah, perfect.
For sure, mate.
So it's just I'm on Instagram, but I'm because I'm a teacher, it's on private. So if I know you, I might accept.
Cool. Yep.
But if I don't get offended.
For sure.
But no, probably the best spot to follow me is on Strava. So that's all public and all that, and you can kind of see what I'm doing. And
excellent.
There's a lot of bat emojis that are getting thrown around at the moment after the Bendigo Bats performance yesterday, which is exciting. So jump on board the Bendigo Bats.
Sent a text to Moose yet, or what?
He replied to my story, and he said something about this is the same as winning the women's race. But then I told him that that we lapped Ballarat. So I don't know. Yeah. He's in hiding. I think he could have raced yesterday, but he didn't want to get his pants pulled down. So that's all right.
Yeah, cool. Right. Oh, you'll toe the line with him up on the Goldie anyway. So hopefully you guys turn up there really fit. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. But he's a beast over the marathon. So we'll
it's good.
Yeah, wait and see what happens up there.
Exactly, mate. All right, mate. Thank you so much. I'll whack those links over for the listeners, and cheers.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Andy.
No, thanks, mate.
Thank you.